Two outrageous incidents have rocked the Indian diaspora in the United States of America, where two Indian students studying for their master's degree in top universities have been killed. Vivek Saini, a master's student from Georgia, was bludgeoned to death by a homeless man in a grocery store where he worked part-time, while Neil Acharya was found dead on the Purdue University campus in Indiana. While probes are underway into both incidents, which have taken place within days of each other, what is absolutely shocking is the fact that no American authorities have made any statements about these incidents. Now imagine for a moment, just for a second, that two American citizens had died or been killed in similar circumstances in India. Imagine the outrage, the calls for a thorough investigation that would pour in from across the world. Shouldn't these be equivalent outrage for the lives of Indian students across the world? Just weeks ago, we had 4 Indians drown in Australia. We have had a spate of killings and attacks in Canada. What should be an apt response to all of this? Are Indian lives any cheaper than American or Canadian lives? That's what we're going to discuss for the next half an hour. Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, former diplomat, joins us on the program. Surinder Singh Lali, international affairs expert, with us on the program as well. Pathikrit Pine, international affairs expert, joins us on the show as well. Major Muhammad Ali Shah, defense expert, joins us on the program as well. Pathikrit, just like the statement that I made in my opening monologue, are Indian lives cheaper than American lives? Shouldn't it matter to the American authorities, to President Joe Biden, Mr. Blinken, that this is something which India obviously takes a lot of profound concern over? You may not be able to come about some sort of a solution or an answer into these investigations pronto, but the fact of the matter is that solidarity and empathy has to be shown.
Vineet, good evening. Well, I would rather put it this way that, I think as Indians or South Asians or Asians rather, we have given too much importance to the lives of the Americans when compared to lives of our own people. So had something happened here or any of the other countries in Asia, I think the governments of most of the countries would have shown far more concern, perhaps than needed. And the Americans invariably show far less concern. There are two things. This whole presumption that anybody from Europe or America or US rather, their life is more precious. That has been the norm because the perception has been created by that way by the Western media. We know that when a terror attack happens in United States or anywhere in Europe, Western Europe, the whole world is expected to rally behind the West to fight the war on terror. But when something similar happens in India, and it had been happening for almost 30-40 years, before 9/11, most of the time, they didn't even acknowledge that it is terrorism. They used to call them gunmen. They used to call them militants. They used to call them insurgents. They didn't even call them terrorists. A lot invariably changed after 9/11 and 26/11. But at the same time, let me also tell you, I think a lot of people in India are under the illusion, I would rather say, that US is a very safe country. It is not. US has never been a very safe country. Issues of street violence, issues of gun violence, issues of homicide, and of course issues of suicides are very high in the United States, especially when you look at it from the perspective of a country which is a developed country by any parameter or the defined parameters or the prescribed parameters. So by that standard, the kind of violence that is there, it is never one of those countries which can be considered as a safe country. So I think, first of all, many Indians need to come out of this illusion that the moment they go to US for education and otherwise, they are going to a safer place. That is not. The chances of a neighbor or somebody on the street coming to your rescue if you are in trouble in India is far more than what it is in the United States. Number two, I'll give you a couple of examples. In 2022, on a regular basis, I think US tops the list of the number of people who are in prison for any country whatsoever, by that standard. It has a high range. So and the irony is, I'm not trying to make it as a joke. If you don't die in a street crime or in gun violence, There is also a possibility that the policeman out there, supposed to be your protector, might think that you are carrying a gun and he might shoot you because he thought. So we have seen all these things, and of course, if you see over the last 1 decade, especially in the last few years, the enormity of immigrants, illegal immigrants coming into United States, borders are being opened up. There's a huge proliferation of homeless people because they are officially not even citizens of America. So you have allowed all that thing to happen in the name of wokeism, in the name of creating a liberal environment. And you created that huge number of illegal, unemployed, homeless people. Where would they go? We don't know. The government, what they should do, I don't know. But that is creating a problem. And invariably, Vineet, there is this perception that, of course, a section of the Americans do respect the Indians for the contribution the Indians have made into the American economy. But there is also a certain kind of disdain, animosity, and a perception that the Indians are taking over their jobs. So that hatred, I would not even call, I don't know whether hatred is the right word or not, but there's a certain level of disdain. Sometimes it does come out. And yes, I think, unfortunately, I think the Indians are far more nuanced when issues like this happen. The EMEA takes it very seriously, communicates to the other governments concerned. But perhaps I think the Americans take it for granted, big deal. That is the perception. I'm not saying that Indian lives per se are deliberately being put at risk, but this is how US is. And I think, I don't know whether they will change or not. But in a country where, children are literally being sent to school with bulletproof jackets for fear of suddenly a gunman emerging and killing them, nobody is safe. Not that third world countries are safer, I'm not saying that, but by the standard of somebody which claims to be a developed country, I think we are under the illusion that America is a safe country, and they would be very, very, nuanced and polite and communicate that we are sorry, it's not going to happen. So I think the problem is with us because of our expectations and the way we behave when somebody from their country face any unfortunate incident here. I think we should behave the way they do with us. I think that is the best way. And I think let's stop presuming that America is a safe society. It is not. Back to you, Vinny.
Ambassador Sachdev, what do you make of this? These killings. This is obviously a problem. Within the relationship that India and America have been, trying to reinvent, for the lack of a better word.
I think you are right. I think the previous speaker has put it very succinctly and in a comprehensive manner. I'd like to add that in terms of diplomatic etiquette, the host country's responsibilities are enormous. Once they have given visa, it's incumbent upon them to safeguard the person, his wealth and his personal well-being for which he is gone. Now, both these students died in their prime. They were at the verge of a very productive and successful life, and that is something I would like to regret. The lives have been cut short in their prime. At a different level, I would take slightly more nuanced view. I think there is a certain xenophobia taking over the United States as it comes out of COVID, there was a previous president whose legacy was to create a wall and so on and so forth, and rant about illegal immigrants taking over the United States. So that has created a sense of us versus them kind of syndrome. And on the face of it, Vivek's only crime, if I can call it that way, was to go and outreach to a drug addict whose behavior at the best would have been unpredictable with withdrawal syndrome and rest of it, and latching on to somebody who's trying to help. Now, at a diplomatic level, I think it's a bit understatement that United States authorities have not carried out their responsibilities. The investigations, it's been nearly 2 weeks since it happened, and therefore they should have come to some kind of conclusion. Arresting a person is not good enough. There should have been some commiseration at the official level, at the state level, and that doesn't seem to be coming. And I think your network is perfectly well placed to record this asymmetry between our behavior with Americans' interest visiting us and their behavior with Indians in that country. Now, India has the largest diaspora in the world, as you know. 25 to 30 million people live abroad. Now, their welfare is important to us. They are ours. Most of them are our citizens, carry our passports, but they are also PIOs and NRIs of a different sort. Now, their welfare is a huge responsibility, mostly shared by the local governments. They should, but Government of India need to take a more proactive role in this regard. And I think we face it. The death of Vivek occurred on 16th, and the matter, through your channel and rest of Indian media, has come to light only 10 days later. That itself speaks of lack of certain urgency being associated to such matters. And I think there should be a database. There should be advisories issued about these kind of incidents, and people who still want to go to these countries should take a call on their own merit and consideration of safety and their personal welfare. I would like to stop here.
Absolutely. Surinder Singh Lali, appreciate you being here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sir.
Well, this is a problem that the Americans don't want to have, and this is a problem that India definitely does not want to knock on any doors for. This is obviously related to a people-to-people connect. This is obviously related to the lives of the Indian diaspora there. Let us also remind our viewers and the Americans once again that perhaps the Indian Americans living in the United States, Mr. Lali, are the most prosperous. They contribute most to the GDP, and if their lives, if their well-being, if their welfare is going to be at any kind of a peril, then it's not only about India being livid at this treatment, it's also the Americans that will have to be worried.
Thank you, Vineet. I come with a very heavy heart. I mean, my heart bleeds. My condolences to Vivek's family. Vineet, I was at my college reunion, the fraternity reunion in November, and I'm just going to read out a quote from one of my fraternity brothers. We had gone to a restaurant in Charleston, South Carolina by the name of Magnolia's. And I wasn't allowed in the restaurant. I was wearing a t-shirt with short sleeves, but so were other people sitting in the restaurant. And, Charleston is pretty much like the Bible Belt where the Civil War started. So on the 4th of November, one of my fraternity brothers posted, quote opens, "Do not go to Magnolia downtown, full stop. They asked my Indian friend to leave and told me they didn't care even if I didn't come back, quote close." Now, this is what happened to me. And of course, I did not resist. I quietly left because I didn't see, to fight with the pig, as they say, the pig enjoys it. But Vineet, in the same breath, I have to, with all humility at my command, disagree a bit with two of my panelists. Said, I am not willing to paint the entire population of the United States of America with the same brush. I am an NRI, I have lived the Indian dream, so I have been a part of the diaspora. It's an individual problem more in America within itself. It could be Donald Trump or it could be, NRA, because there are issues on gun laws itself. Why do I say that? Because in the same trip, I lived with 5 different American families, and they treated me as well as my blood relations in India would treat. There is a larger issue of mental sickness in the United States because, they've really lost out, and I'm making a very sweeping remark, they've really lost out on the family culture. They've really lost out on, what love and emotions are, because it's an absolutely crude form of a capitalistic society where, as they say, excuse my French, money talks and bullshit walks. So it's a very large issue within America. I mean, while my heart completely goes to Vivek's family, but there are very often instances where people go into high schools and colleges, which you all enlightened people know on this panel, they go out and shoot children too. Not that any one of them justifies. But yes, it's an issue. We need to be more careful because Indians are one of the richest minorities, because since Jews are not considered a minority anymore, we have the highest per capita income. And yes, there are, if I may use the word, the rednecks in the Midwest, there are people who are not happy because when they see a brown who probably is doing 5 times as much better than them, so they don't take it in the right spirit. So this is a larger issue with America, within America, with mental sickness, where people are lonely, where people are, unhappy, people are frustrated, and they have nobody to talk to. I mean, that's all I want to limit my remarks to, and then I'll come back with some more once I hear other panelists. Thank you, Vineet.
Major Mohammad Ali Shah, you've been a proponent of, good people-to-people connections between these two countries. There are hordes of students, there are hordes of aspirants who travel to America, looking for that American dream, chasing that American dream, and if it's cut short, in this way, with such disrespect, it's a huge concern for our country.
Bang on, Vineet, you are absolutely right, and I totally agree with all my respected panelists who spoke earlier. Even I have a very, very heavy heart, Vineet, and I am very disturbed, and my heartfelt condolence to Mr. Saini, his family, and to Mr. Neil Acharya's family, because the second youngster, once again, he was found dead also again in US after Mr. Saini's brutal murder, hammering him with a hammer by the drug addicts in US. In fact, Neil Acharya, his mother also had tweeted. Neil Acharya's mother had tweeted that on X, which is now, that he went missing and he was last seen by the Uber driver. Now, the very fact is, Vineet, it only goes to show that you're right, that Indian lives don't matter to them, unfortunately. Because had that been the case, there would have been a lot of authorities coming out, giving press statements, talking about it. Why is it that hum kam hai kya? We are no less only the Indian consulate over there. They have assured full help, and they are in touch with Neil Acharya's university, that's the Purdue University, where at 500 Allison Road in West Lafayette, he was found dead over there, in fact. So the very fact is, we have to actually think of a way. Why is it that people take our life for granted? Now, I'll give you a small example, Vineet. A small child of ours, from our house, he goes to a friendly neighborhood or someone's friend's house, and something happens to him there. Whose responsibility it is? As we heard Ambassador Dev say, that ultimately when the visa is issued and the person has gone there, it is the responsibility of the host country thereafter. Now, if a child goes to a friend's house to play, they are responsible for the child. We have only trusted the school or the neighborhood. A child goes to a school, it's the school's responsibility. Similarly, when
that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy, Ali.
Thank you, Preet. So the very fact is, when these our brothers, our sisters, our fellow countrymen, they go to a different country, it's 100% their responsibility, and it should be seen. They say a stitch in time saves 9. The very fact is, after Mr. Saini's gruesome murder, no one spoke about it. A few hours later, once again in US, we hear the case of Neil Acharya and the youngster. And how long will it take for somebody else from some other nation to come through? No. So I think it is very, very highly irresponsible, firstly, of the government of any country. I'm not trying to rebuke US. And at the same time, I agree with Mr. Lali Singh, where he said that, I would not paint the entire community with the same brush. Okay, fine. Fair enough. That's perfectly fine. But the very fact that it's their responsibility, they should take the ownership of it. They should come here and they should express their condolence as the least that anyone can do. Instead of showing that, we couldn't care less. Oh my goodness, a family has lost 2 young children. And now I want to talk on brain drain, Vineet. Vineet, I had the honor and fortune of studying at IIM Calcutta after the army. There were a lot of IITians with us and who had come to the IIMs. I had seen, that's my personal observation, not just there, anywhere. People aspire to go abroad. That's their soul and soul dream, that I want to go abroad to study. Why? India is so beautiful. We have all the opportunities over here. We have everything over here. But people, for them, their aspiration is going abroad. If someone has gone abroad, they assume it, that, oh, he's doing well. He might go there and become a janitor. But a person has gone abroad, so a person is doing well. Why can't you do well for our country? Why can't you contribute? We are doing so much. We are doing Make in India. We are doing so many other campaigns. I don't see the requirement of going abroad for work or even travel and tourism. We ran this campaign, Boycott Maldives. How many people have actually gone, even on travel and tourism, explored India first? Nagaland, Manipur, Jammu Kashmir, it's exotic. Lakshadweep Islands, they're exotic. So it's not only employment, even travel and tourism. Sare jahan se, I was in conversation with Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, Ashok Chakra, who had gone on space. In fact, when the Indian Prime Minister asked him, how did you find India from space? He said, Sare jahan se acha Hindosita hamara. So our country is the best, undoubtedly, Vineet. So I find no requirement when people go with dreams in their eyes and the dream is cut short. It's indeed very, very heartbreaking. So the very fact is, I would urge my fellow citizens, my countrymen, my brothers and sisters, to have a rethink whenever they travel abroad. What are we going for? And how safe would be? The people perceive India is not safe. That country would be safe. Nothing is safe. There's no guarantee anywhere. There's no guarantee for future of anyone, anywhere, anyhow. So when people perceive, and their whole and soul ambition is, bhai videsh jana hai, ye vilayat chala gaya, vilayat se padh ke aaya hai. You get, you do an MBA abroad and you come back and you get a fat salary. But you do an MBA in India.
Yeah, but let me just build upon the fabulous analogy that you gave and take a reaction from Pathikrit as well. Pathikrit, Ali is right. Countries need to take responsibility of the citizens that they so very need and invite and lure to study in their own land, so that they can make money off of them. And then when they get killed, there is absolute radio silence. Look at what the Americans are perhaps going to do to the Iranians, just because 3 of their men were killed in one of these strikes very, very recently. President Biden came out and said that they will avenge these deaths. This is the value that they give to their own citizens and soldiers. What about Indians?
But Vineet, why would they worry when they know that for every Indian getting killed, there are probably 1,000 more waiting to come? And that's where the decolonization of the mindset is so very important. That's why what Prime Minister is talking about, taking Vikas and Virasat together, is so very important. We need to, have pride and reinvent the whole concept of the Indian inside us. And that has been lost. The obsession with going abroad, the obsession that, you have to be abroad has to change. But I don't think the Americans are too concerned about the American lives either. They have to show something in that Syria thing, because the defense industrial complex is desperate for the next war. Otherwise, look at the number of people getting killed by gun violence inside America. They don't want to change it because, the arms lobby don't want that. The National Rifle Association do not want any kind of a embargo on sales of, assault rifles to civilians. But I must, congratulate and commend Mr. Lali for what he mentioned. Wokeism has destroyed United States. In the name of embracing modernity and technology, they have destroyed ethos, culture, tradition, philosophy, legacy, family system. They have no family, no cousins, no neighborhood, no friends to fall upon when they're in a trouble. So they don't even understand emotions. Even if somebody wants to help them, they don't understand it. And that is where I think countries like India or the Asian countries which still hold on to their culture is so very important, because America is the best example of what happens when you only talk about Vikas and not about Virasat. In any case, it's a 200-year-old country which doesn't have a Virasat to talk about. But the importance is, unless you take family together, your culture together, your traditions together, your ethos, philosophies together, what will guide your modernity, what will guide your life, that guidance is absolutely absent. That leads to gun violence, that leads to narcotics, that leads to psychiatric problem, that leads to you being destructive at the age of 25, in spite of having so much of millions in your bank. Even you are still wanting to commit suicide or kill somebody, or you're bankrupt entirely, and you end up living with, say, 10 dogs and 20 guns. You have nobody to talk to, and you only play video games. That is where I strongly believe, unless America starts valuing the concept of family again, these issues will continue. Whether it's an Indian dying or American dying, let me tell you, America or even Canada are unsafe places.
Absolutely right, Pathik. You're absolutely right. And you're absolutely right. This is something that needs to be delved into. This is something that needs to be, in fact, brought out into the world community as well.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.